Hi, John Chapin with your latest sales tip. And this tip is all about how to handle the sales objection. I need to think about it. And by the way, stick around to the end because at the end of this video, I'll be giving you 2 bonus tips you can use with any objection. That'll be worth it. Okay, so someone says, I have to think about it. First, the I have to think about it objection is probably the biggest smokescreen objection there is. I mean, if somebody says something like, I don't have any money, that might be real. If they say, they have to talk to somebody, maybe. But if they say I have to think about it, that's rarely they have to think about it. When you get this objection, it's typically one of 2 things. They're either not interested and they're just trying to end the conversation, get out of there, or it's another objection, such as money, they have to talk to someone, they plan on checking to other places, whatever it is. So to answer, I want to think about it, you're going to follow the 4-step process that you use with any objection. So first, you're going to repeat it back as a question. You need to think about it and pause. Don't talk until they do, just like a closing question. Wait for them to respond. What you're looking for here is the true objection. You're hoping they'll be uncomfortable with the pause, which most people are, and that they'll give you the real objection. So they say you need to think about it, you rephrase it back as a question. You need to think about it? Pause, and they say, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I could afford that high monthly payment, or, well, yeah, I got to run it by my wife, or, okay, now you have a money objection or wife objection, and we handle that. People may say they need to think about it because they don't want to admit they can't afford it, or they don't want to admit that they can't make a decision on their own. So when you rephrase it as a question and pause, you're looking for them to expand on what they really mean by that. If they don't give you another objection at that point, or they just say something along the lines of, yeah, I need to think about it. Now you're going to question the objection. And you do this in one of 2 ways. One is to just ask why. So you're either going to say, why? Or I'm curious. Why do you need to think about it? The second way to question is to say something along the lines of, okay, what is it exactly that you need to think about? Again, you're hoping they'll give you another objection like, well, I have to think about whether or not I can afford it, or, well, my wife and I have this agreement that anything over $5,000 should be discussed first, or, well, I told my friend, I talked to the salesperson at ABC company that he bought his from, but that guy's out today, so I just figured I'd go and check a few other places first. Again, if you get one of those, great. Now you're going to handle the real objection. If they stick to their guns, though, with something like, well, yeah, I really don't know, I just need to think about it. Now you're going to step 3 is to isolate the objection. So to isolate, say something like, okay, Joe, so other than needing to think about it, is there anything else that's holding you back right now? If they say yes, they give you another objection. Handle that one the same way you did, with the other one. In other words, you're going to repeat it as a question, then you're going to outright question it. Next, isolate it along with think about it. But for now, let's just say that they said the only thing that's holding them back is they need to think about it. In that case, you're going to answer the objection. So here's what you can say as far as your answer to the objection. Joe, I completely understand that. They say that we forget about 80% of what we've heard over a 24 to 48 hour period. So while the information's still fresh in your mind, and you have an expert here to fill any knowledge gaps and answer any questions, does it make sense to talk through some of the things that you need to think about? Now, if they truly need to think about it, that will make sense and they'll agree. Now, if that doesn't work, you still can't get through it, they stick to it no matter what. As a last resort, you can schedule a time to follow up. Say, okay, look, I understand you need some time to think about it. How much time do you need? They'll give you an answer. Okay, let's set up a time for me to call you back. When you do this, though, make sure you set up a specific time. Do not settle for, yeah, just call me on Tuesday. No, you need a specific time. Once you have that specific time, you're going to take one more shot at the objection by trying to get it to say, Joe, just so I'm prepared when we talk, what should I be prepared to discuss on Tuesday? What things do you want to talk about? And pause again. So you're attempting to get that real objection again. If at this point you can't get anything, they say something like, no, I just need to think about it. Say, okay, I'll call you Tuesday afternoon at 2 or whatever time you decided on. Then, and this is really important, make sure you lock down the appointment. So how do you do that? Okay, Joe, is there anything outside of a tsunami that would cause you to miss that appointment at that time? Nope. Okay, here's my number. If something comes up, can you give me the courtesy of a quick call and let me know? So that's how you handle that. Now here's some bonus tips I promised you. First, when you're dealing with any objection, you have to be direct. In words, not in tone and body language. You've got to ask direct questions that get to the point. Second, here's something else you can use with any objection if you aren't able to get past it. Say, Joe, I hear what you're saying about I have to think about it or whatever the objection is, but does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? If they say, well, yeah, it sounds pretty good, you say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? As far as 1, you're not buying, 10, absolutely. Once you get the answer, say, what would make it a 10? And then you do whatever you can to bring it as close to a 10 as possible. And keep in mind, they may not need it at a 10 to buy. They may buy it at 9 or an 8. Just get as close as you can and ask if that's close enough to move forward. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe below if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next video.